What's up guys, my name is Hunter McDowall, and in today's tutorial I'm going to teach you how to create a bomb-ass sky replacement inside Adobe After Effects, and more importantly it's going to be a storm effect, and you're going to have superpowers, and even better, this is going to be a POV tutorial by shooting a GoPro and kind of making it more of that stylistic choice. And I think this is going to be really cool and something new for you to try out, especially if you're filming by yourself. It's something that is just going to be fun. So let's go ahead and check out some behind the scenes of where I shot this at, and then we're going to get into the actual video itself. So without further ado, let's get started.
We take you to the Hotel Martinet in Brooklyn, where Bobby Millett and his orchestra are offering a program of dance music.
Alright guys, so we're inside Adobe After Effects, and before we get started, if you look right here in the top left, I am actually using After Effects Beta, and the reason for that is because in part of this tutorial we will be using the rotobrush tool to rotoscope out these arms. So basically in your video, if you have anything like arms or stuff like that in the sky, you're going to want to rotobrush these out because it's going to get affected, and I'll go into more detail of that later. But in After Effects Beta there is Rotobrush 2.0, and that tool is so much better than the original Rotobrush tool, but you can still follow along if you have After Effects CC 2019 or CC 2020. If you have previous to After Effects as well, that will work, but this is just what I'm using today. And so yeah, let's go ahead and duplicate this footage 3 times by pressing Command or Control D on your keyboard. So 1, 2, 3. For this is going to be main footage. This is going to be called VFX clip. This is going to be called roto right arm. And this is going to be called roto left arm. Now for these, I kind of want to make a different color in the layer just to differentiate and make it a lot neater. And we're going to actually turn these off for now. And for this VFX clip, we are going to go to our first stock footage, aka sky. Now, I will give all the links to these ones below, and you can go ahead and download them, or you can just go on that website or any free royalty-free stock footage website and download some skies. If you're really that fancy and want to buy some, you can go on Adobe Stock. But I always like to scale up 130 just in case we do tracking or anything like that. It won't end up getting in the frame by accident. So now that we have this, we actually want to make sure the clip is above it, and we're going to go and retitle this to dark sky. And we're going to go to the track matte, and if you don't have that on, just toggle switches and modes and go to alpha matte. Now we obviously only want that sky to be in the sky. So we're going to go to the VFX clip, go into keying, extract, and we're going to take the blacks and we're just going to extract it until we see fit. So obviously we're not wanting the sky to bleed out whatsoever. So if the hands start to bleed out, that's again where we're going to use the rotobrush tool. And we want to soften it up a lot too, just because of the fringe right here. And that looks pretty good. Now this fringe is going to be okay because we're going to add some more effects in later that's going to kind of hide it, like darkening the trees and stuff like that. But so far so good. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and preview this. As you see right now, if I had more time, I would fix the position of the sky and the trees and stuff like that to kind of match the movement. But it's a tutorial, so we're not going to go ahead and mess with that. So yeah, what we're going to do actually is pre-compose the first sky and just title it sky comp, like that. And I'm actually going to change this to yellow right there. Alright, so you can already see here, let's go back to full res, that the hand is really badly shaped right now. We want to get that out. The left one, not so much. But what we're actually going to do is scrub forward in our timeline to see when the arms go down, like so, and highlight both of them by holding shift and then option right bracket to end the roto, like so. And so what we're going to do is turn on the first one, don't worry, we want that to happen. And we're going to go ahead and double click it and use H on your keyboard to bring up the hand tool to kind of move around, and hit Option W to bring up the photo brush tool, or just go up here. And we're just going to make a nice selection around the hand. And if you don't like this tool, you can use the mask tool. You can have to do that manually. Alright, so what we see here is already a pretty good selection. If you want to remove anything, just hold down Option and this red circle will pop up. And that will basically bring in the selection more closely to the hand. It's just a lot of finessing and stuff like this. So I will show you basically a rough view of how the roto brush tool works, but that will be a separate tutorial because I don't want to get further into that. So what we're going to do is scrub forward, and basically this will render it and move forward in frames. So to speed up time, what I'm going to do is do this for both the right and left hand. You'll see a time lapse, and then we'll move forward. All right. Alright, actually, so one thing I will mention is if you think your selection is good and you like it, make sure that you're at the end and then hit freeze. And so basically when you freeze this, it just means that it locks that selection and you can't make any changes. If you do make changes, obviously you're going to unfreeze, but this is Alright, so we are done, and as you see here, that selection is pretty nice with the roto brush tool. Alright guys, we are nearing the end of the tutorial, so what we're going to do is actually make this guy appear. Now I don't want it to, you know, be super long, it's going to be a quick go in. So what we're going to do is go to the clips tool and just create like a circular mask, maybe just kind of you know, make our own shape. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle because that would look kind of weird, right? Even hit G in the keyboard to bring up the pen tool and do something like this. And right here we're going to hit MM on the keyboard, click the keyframes for the mask expansion, mask path, and also mask feather, and go all the way out. I would go 3 frames forward, go to 0, then go 5 more frames forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and expand that mask out even more. As you see here, it starts off slow and then ramps up, and it's pretty good. What we can also do is turn on motion blur to give it a better look. Obviously, this is where we're going to want to hit feather. Then hit Shift Command D on that sky icon and remove the mask because we will no longer need it. So then we have this. Alright, so obviously I still want to do more with this. That's kind of generic. So if you really want to, you know, make this even cooler, what you can do is add Turbulent Displace, which is a distort tool, and keep the complexity at 1, but you can kind of distort it along the way. Maybe even bring it down to size 24 and not to 62. I'd keyframe those right there, hit U in the keyboard so you see your keyframes. Maybe go 1 frame forward so you can see, kind of mess with it a little bit. Go forward, just continue getting a variation so it's going and going. And for this last one, then we'll hit 0 so it's done. And then for the evolution option, so that we can get some speed, just hit Option on the stopwatch tool, time, asterisk, let's go 50, just to get a bit like that. Let's get a preview. So it kind of does that, it's a little cool. you know, just opening the sky. And so what we're going to do now is match the color correction, the color of the sky as soon as the new one appears. So what we're going to do is, under the main footage, we're going to hit Option Command Y or go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. Then we're going to go to Curves. Let's actually go forward so we can start matching it. Go to Curves, bring down the contrast a bit. Just kind of, you want to match that color of the sky you are using. Again, if you're following along with this tutorial, then just copy this, but match it to whatever you want. And then, yeah, basically what you want to do is match this color. Alright, so what I did here actually is did an opacity effect, so as the sky is kind of, you know, growing, kind of want to start matching that color, and I added a mask because I don't want it affecting the bottom layer. And then once we get to this, maybe actually change to 75. We kind of want to feather a bit more too, so it blends a bit better, and then it goes there. And honestly, if I want to darken it a bit more, I probably would to match it, but this effect is going so quickly that it's not really going to show. Again, it's just adding a little bit to create a little subtle effect. And then obviously we want to color correct the arms and all of that to match the new sky. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add a bunch of adjustment layers. We're going to add a solid to kind of create a vignette. So again, you're going to see me in the sped up process do that. Alright, so basically I added an adjustment layer and black solid to the bottom layer with that off to match the sky, and then I added opacity keyframes to match the transition from the new sky. And then I also added an overall color grade to match that. And again, that is what we were talking about earlier, in which, you know, the trees were fairly poorly originally without this adjustment layer, the fringe and all of that. But when we add on all the color correction, then that kind of moves it, and we're doing some pretty cool stuff. Now, if you want to see how I added in the lightning and the other sky stuff, because I did transition to another sky, go ahead and comment below, and I will surely do that as a part 2 tutorial for this one. I just don't want to kind of, you know, extend it and make this tutorial longer. It's just showing you how to replace the sky in a cool way, POV style. But I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe for more. Peace out.